Welcome everyone to our Abhidhamma study class. Our Bande, Venerable Piññādhika Lingara is here with us to teach us our class 13 on Rootless consciousness, Ahetuka Citta. Today is Wednesday, December the 7th, 2022, here in the USA West Coast. We are at 6 p.m. right now, so we are about to start our class. If you are watching us from YouTube, you are free to join us anytime. And we have already posted those Zoom link in our emails and also on Facebook. So here's our agenda for today. We are going to start our class with Namo Tassa. And we already done our revision and discussion, so we don't have to do that one. After Namo Tassa, Bande will teach us Abhidhamma Lecture, and then we will stop the live streaming, and then we will have question and answer session after that. So here's the Zoom information if you are still debating on joining us on Zoom instead of watching on YouTube. Without further ado, Bande, please lead us with Namo Tassa. Thank you so much, Bande.
Okay, let's start our today's Abhidhamma study, reciting Namo Tassa 3 times together. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa.
Bande, please teach us rootless consciousness, Ahetuka Citta. Thank you so much, Bande.
Okay. So today's lesson is about the rootless consciousness. In Pali, it is called Ahetuka Citta. So rootless Ahetuka, because the word Hetu is translated as root. So what about if we talk about the consciousness with roots? What will be the name of the consciousness with roots in Pali? Can you guess?
Ahetuka.
Yeah, of course. So Ahetuka come from na. So this is the meaning of negative or sometimes the absent. So sa come from the saha, or yeah. So sometimes come from the prefix some. So both express the meaning with or having something. So that's one. And consciousness with root is called Sahetuka. Today we're going to study Ahetuka. Ahetuka is the consciousness without roots. So on the other hand, we can translate rootless consciousness. This is Ahetuka. So here, yeah, this one we already talk about this, but we will repeat again, no problem. And we have times to study again, so that we can remember all the information in our mind, because you cannot bring the books every times, everywhere, but you can bring your memory everywhere. Okay, so in this slide, as mentioned before, there are 6 types of roots, so 6 roots. All of them referring to the Paṭivedha, 6 kinds of Paṭivedha. So Paṭivedha, do you remember what is Paṭivedha in Pali?
Citta.
Yes, it's Cittasika, right? Yeah. So Citta, Cittasika, Rupa, and Nibbana are reality. They are really existing in their own nature, their intrinsic nature. And the others are like an individual or the other things, living beings, they are based upon the concept. So a group of materialities and mentalities, something are regarded as based upon the concept as a being or something. But the Citta, Cittasika, Rupa, Nibbana, they are really in their own transcendent nature, really exist them. So if we want to identify something in ultimate sense, we need to go to the ultimate reality. So here also the roots. What is the roots? This is not talking about the root of the tree or something, but because of they have the similarity then in the nature, this one is used. So Hetu. So in the Abhidhamma, what is mean Hetu? 6 types of mental factors are called Hetu because they perform the function of the root, being the root of the mentalities, actually mentality. So the mental factors are greed, lobha, and hatred, dosa, and delusion, moha. 3 are akusala, have the akusala nature. That's why akusala root, akusala hetu. And the other 3, opposite to the former 3, or alobha, non-greed, adosa, non-hatred, and amoha, non-delusion. And these have the nature of sometimes kusala, sometimes vipaka, and sometimes kriya. That's why we cannot say the kusala hetuka or akusala hetuka, but we can say, we cannot say exactly kusala, but we can say the kusala and abhyagata because they are vipaka and kriya collectively called by the name of abhyagata. So in the Tika Matika, if you study after basics understanding, and if you continue to the advanced level, you will study the Tika Matika. So in the Tika Matika, the ultimate realities are divided into 3 groups. Here, the first Tika Matika, the first Tika is the Kusala Tika. There, the ultimate reality are divided into 3 groups. So Kusala Dhamma, so expressing those ultimate reality have the wholesome nature. And second division, the Akusala Dhamma. So it express the ultimate reality have the unwholesome nature. And the remaining vipaka and kriya are collectively called abhyagata, including the materialities. So in that classification, according to that classification, we can say the 3 roots of alobha, adosa, and amoha as the kusala and abhyagata roots, like this. So if we say the kusala root, so alobha, adosa, amoha, 3 roots are connected to the kusala. That's why kusala roots 3. In the same way, when they are connected to the vipaka or vipaka or kriya, so under the name of abhyagata, we can say them as a abhyagata roots. So although same reference to this, and although reference they give the reference to the same mental factors of alobha, adosa, amoha, according to their nature of the kusala and abhyagata nature, we can make 2 groups. So kusala root 3, abhyagata root 3. That's why sometimes when they are counted in 9, number 9. So here we just say 6 groups, but sometimes they are counted 9 groups. But you don't need to confuse it because if come in the 9, so it means the alobha, adosa, amoha are divided according to the wholesome nature and abhyagata nature. So akusala root 3, kusala root 3, abhyagata root 3. If we count it in this way, the 9 roots. But here the mental factors are the same with the kusala and abhyagata nature. That's why only 3 are taken. So in this slide, we just say 6 groups. In the same way, in the chapter 3 of Abhidhamma Sangha also mentioned only 6. only 6. So now we can remember 6 types of roots. Then, because they are mental factors, they can associate with the consciousness and the other mental factors when they arise together, but they cannot associate with their materialities. So according to the nature, mentalities of the consciousness and mental factors are considered as the associated ultimate realities. But the materiality is not associated, because the word association, the sampayutta in Pali, sampayutta. The opposite is vipayutta. So the mentalities or consciousness and mental factors are each other association, can be the association of each other. So we can say the association, sampayutta is there. This is sampayutta nature. But mentalities and materiality, they don't have that kinds of connection. So we say the mentality and materiality, vipayutta. Okay, this is just for information. Later, when you learn about the sampayutta and vipayutta, you already know. Okay, so if the mental factors or roots are associated with the consciousness, that consciousness is called the consciousness with roots. Consciousness with roots. This is called the Ahetuka. Ahetuka, number 2 types. By the absence of the mental factors, which is recognized as the roots, the consciousness are called the Ahetuka, rootless consciousness. Today we are going to study, emphasizing on the Ahetuka Citta, rootless consciousness. There are 18 Ahetuka Citta. So 18 Ahetuka Citta, rootless consciousness 18. So how many Sahetuka Citta?
71.
71.
Great, 71. Okay, these 71 Sahetuka Citta can be divided into three groups. If they have the only one root, this is called the Ekahetuka, so consciousness with one root. If the consciousness associate with two roots, so this is called the Dvihetuka Citta. And if they come with the 3 roots, this is called the Tihetuka Citta, so consciousness with 3 roots. And you can number if you wish, here Ekahetuka only 2. Later on you will know what are the Ekahetuka, 2. Then Dvihetuka 22. And Tihetuka 47. So 2, 22, and 47 become the 71. And with the Ahetuka's 18 consciousness become the 89 consciousness completed. Okay, so again, let's say about the Ahetuka Pukala and Sahetuka Pukala. So in previous lesson, we have explained about the consciousness of the rebirth linking moment. There are how many consciousness? Do you remember? Rebirth linking moment, Paṭisandhi.
19.
Of course, yes. 19 consciousness can be a Paṭisandhi moment at the Paṭisandhi moment. So among the 19 Paṭisandhi consciousness, some consciousness not associated with roots. Not associated with root, there are 2. So they are called the Ahetuka Paṭisandhi. So the being which is born, who was born by the Ahetuka Paṭisandhi consciousness, that individual is called the Ahetuka Pukala. So identification of the Ahetuka Pukala and Sahetuka Pukala come in accordance with the Paṭisandhi moment. Okay, so if someone reborn as with the consciousness with roots at the moment of Paṭisandhi, so he is recognized as a Sahetuka Pukala. So in this way, by the classification of Ahetuka and Sahetuka, you can see the Ahetuka Citta, Sahetuka Citta, and also the Ahetuka Pukala and Sahetuka Pukala. So in the explanation of individual also, we already explained about this. Okay, so here, Lobha, Dosa, Moha, 3 roots are wholesome. That's why they only connected to the unwholesome consciousness. And Alobha, Adosa, Amoha, as I say, the Kusala, Vipaka, and Kiriya. So they were connected, but they are not connected with the Ahetuka consciousness because of that the consciousness, 18 consciousness are called Ahetuka. Okay, so before we continue the explanation about the Ahetuka, let's review about the consciousness. So the table of consciousness, so that we can understand how many consciousness are Ahetuka here. So Ahetuka rootless consciousness, we already said they're divided into 3 groups. 2 groups are resultants. So resultants, when the resultant group become two, here the cause difference, because they have the different cause. Then the first group produced by the Akusala Kamma. So they are unwholesome resultant 7. And the second group produced by the Kusala. So wholesome resultant 8. And the third group functional only 3. So in this way, 18 Ahetuka Citta. So the remaining consciousness, 71, how can we count the 71 Ahetuka consciousness? So if you will try to remember this table, it's very easy. Anytime you can check. And so we can start from the number 1, Akusala 12. Then after that, the beautiful, so sense sphere beautiful, 24. Then Upavachara 15, Arubhavachara 12, and Lokuttara 8 become the 71 Sahetuka consciousness. So except the number 2 group. And on the other hand, if you wish to count it, so among the Sahetuka 81, how many Kusala or how many Vipaka like this, you can count in this table. You can check. So in this way, you will become the expert in the consciousness after counting many times. Okay, so let's talk about the name. So Akusala, Ahetuka, Rootless, 18, Akusala Vipaka, okay, no problem. The name we can understand. Vipaka is resultant and Akusala is the kind of cause. So to give the complete name, it becomes the Akusala Vipaka, wholesome resultant. So resultant produced by unwholesome karma. Then, and for the name, the second one is a little bit confused, need to explain because it becomes longer. Ahetuka Kusala Vipaka. For the Kusala Vipaka, it's easy to understand. Understanding the formal group. The Vipaka resultant produced by wholesome cause is called Kusala Vipaka. So why here the rootless or the Ahetuka is inserted without inserting the former group. Former group only say the Akusala Vipaka, not saying the Ahetuka Akusala Vipaka. Right? But in second group, Ahetuka Kusala Vipaka. Why it is need to insert the insert or to modify by the word Ahetuka? So the answer is to differentiate with the resultant with roots. So if we see in this table, we can see the resultant of the unwholesome only in the rootless group. That's why no need to modify by the word Ahetuka, because only one is only one resultant of unwholesome. For the wholesome resultant, we can check here, and the Kamavachara Sovana also resultant. So this is wholesome. Rubhavachara also resultant, it's called wholesome. So in the Sahetuka consciousness, And there are the other resultant consciousness produced by the wholesome causes. That's why in order to differentiate with them, so we need to put the word Ahetuka in front of the Kusala Vipaka. So now you understand the reason why we give this, we give second group by the word Ahetuka. Okay, so Akusala Vipaka 7, Ahetuka Kusala Vipaka 8. And so for the last group of Kiriya also 1, it needs the modifier, the Ahetuka. So in the same way, there are functional consciousness in the Sahetuka group. That's why in order to differentiate this group, the Ahetuka, the word Ahetuka is needed to insert. So Ahetuka, Kiriya, rootless, functional 3. Okay, so this is second group, and then number 3 group is Kama Vachara Sobhana. So as we have explained before, so 1, 2, 3 groups are sense sphere consciousness, mostly arise in the sense sphere plane of existence. So Akusala 12, Ahetuka 18, and Kama Vachara Sobhana 24. All together here, you see the Kama Vachara Citta 54, sense sphere consciousness. Okay, so this is enough to review about the consciousness. So let's go back to the Ahetuka lesson. So here, already know, if we ask why these consciousness are called the Ahetuka rootless consciousness. So the absent, the devoid of the mental factors called Hetu. So as we have mentioned that when the consciousness arises, the mental factors accompany. So among these accompanying mental factors, we can check whether the mental factors, those are called those are called Hetu. If there is mental factors called Hetu, this is called Sahetuka. If there is no mental factor called Hetu among the associated mental factors, this is called Ahetuka. So this will we clearly understand if we check how many mental factors accompany the specific consciousness. So it explained in the chapter 2 of Abhidhamma Sangaha, Cetasika Sangaha. So it doesn't matter now, you just need to understand what is the reason to call Ahetuka, rootless consciousness, is enough. And okay, so this is the classification. So unwholesome resultant consciousness, Akusala Vipaka. Because this is called the reason why this group is called the unwholesome resultant, we can check that the cause is unwholesome karma. That's why they are the result of unwholesome karma. Then the second group, as we have explained, and the resultants produced by their wholesome karma and being rootless. So Kusala Vipaka Ahetuka. So Ahetuka Kusala Vipaka, same, the name is. Then, and in combination of the two groups, we can get the rootless resultant consciousness 15. So 7 produced by Akusala Karma and 8 produced by Kusala Karma. But they share the same nature of resultants. Both groups are under the nature of resultants, although they have the different costs. And we can say the 15 resultant consciousness among the 18 rootless consciousness. So the remaining 3, Kiriya Citta, so they are not wholesome karma, not unwholesome karma. So no wholesome, not unwholesome, and also not resultant. It means not produced by the wholesome or unwholesome causes. That's why they are not resultant. So what is called is they are functional, they are kiriya. That's when they are there are 3 Kriya Citta. They just perform their specific function, but not producing resultant, and also being not produced by cause. Okay, so there are 3 types of functional consciousness in the rootless group. So if we divide it into 3 groups, unwholesome resultant consciousness 7, wholesome resultant rootless consciousness 8, and functional rootless consciousness 3. If we divide it into 2 groups, rootless resultant consciousness 15 and rootless functional consciousness 3. Okay, so we already remember the number roughly classification. So let's continue detailed classification. So if we try to classify in detail, the first group, you need to know that the name Upekha Sahagata Jaku Viññāna consciousness. This is the first one. So because it's also long to identify itself. By this long name, we can identify this specific consciousness. So Upekha Sahagata accompanied by equanimity, the consciousness accompanied by equanimity, or many consciousness accompanied by equanimity. What do you mean? So I mean the Jaku Viññāna. So Jaku Viññāna also produced by the wholesome karma, sometimes produced by unwholesome karma. Which one you mean? The akusala vipaka. So if you want to give this complete name, you can say that Upekha Sahagata Jaku Viññāna consciousness, but you can put the akusala vipaka. So akusala vipaka Upekha Sahagata Jaku Viññāna consciousness. This is the only one consciousness among the 89. So in the same way, for the Sota Viññāna, you can see the akusala vipaka Upekha Sahagata Sota Viññāna consciousness. You can continue counting the form of 4 types of consciousness share the same feeling, same types of feeling, which is called equanimity, Upekha Sahagata. So all 4 are Upekha Sahagata. So if we count Upekha Sahagata Jaku Viññāna akusala vipaka, so the best thing is the less. So akusala vipaka consciousness, and Upekha Sahagata Sota Viññāna akusala vipaka consciousness, Upekha Sahagata Ghana Viññāna akusala vipaka consciousness, Upekha Sahagata Jiva Viññāna akusala vipaka consciousness. So here the change only comes in the Jaku, Sota, Ghana, Jiva. So these are eye, ear, nose, tongue. And what about the body consciousness? Body consciousness associated with the feeling, different types of feeling. That is called the pain, not equanimity anymore. That's why when we classify the bodily consciousness, when it is produced by the unwholesome karma, it is accompanied by the feeling of pain. But in this table, you can see that when it is produced by the wholesome karma, it becomes the consciousness accompanied by the pleasure feeling. So akusala produces the painful feeling. Kusala karma produces the pleasure feeling. So which one the being one? And pain or pleasure? So if the being wants to have the pleasure feeling, they need to perform the kusala karma to produce the pleasure feeling bodily and through the bodily contact. If they perform the akusala karma will produce the painful feeling through the bodily contact. So after having the gamma, when the gamma produces, it just goes according to its own nature, not according to the preference of the individual. Okay, so if we count it here, akusala vipaka 1, kusala vipaka 1. So we get that 2 Chakku Vijnana consciousness. But both of them are accompanied by equanimity. So we can say the Chakku Vijnana consciousness 2. Unconsciousness or Chakku Vijnana consciousness 2. They share the same mental factors of feeling, associated mental factor of feeling upekha. So we can say the upekha sahagata Chakku Vijnana 2, because they say it's same. Then in the same way, upekha sahagata sota vijnana 2, upekha sahagata gana vijnana 2, upekha sahagata jingwa vijnana 2, same. But for the kaya vijnana, in case of akusala vipaka, it is accompanied by pain, and in case of kusala vipaka, it is accompanied by pleasure feeling. So sukha. So we can say that dukkha sahagata kaya vijnana and sukha sahagata kaya vijnana. Then let's continue counting the another type. This one. So the sampadicana. Sampadicana is receiving consciousness. Receiving consciousness. So it also accompanied by upekha. So upekha sahagata sampadicana citta. It also have in both sides of the kusala vipaka and akusala vipaka. So akusala vipaka sampadicana, kusala vipaka sampadicana. Mental factor is or feeling is same. So upekha sahagata sampadicana 2. Akusala vipaka and kusala vipaka. In the santirana, you see the upekha sahagata santirana. In the 7 akusala vipaka consciousness, we can see the upekha sahagata santirana, the investigating consciousness accompanied by equanimity, only one. But in the kusala vipaka group, you can see the 2 types of investigating consciousness. One is accompanied by joint somanasa sahagata, or the somanasa sahagata santirana, and the other is same as before, upekha sahagata santirana. So this make the difference in number. The akusala vipaka only 7 and kusala vipaka become 8 because of the santirana. So santirana in the kusala vipaka side become the 2 types. Would come with the different different feeling, or somanasa 1 and upekha 1. Okay, so if we try to count the rootless consciousness, so we can count according to the group. So 1, 2, 3, 7, and 1, 2, 3, and you can count to up to 8 here, and 2 group finish. So for 2 group, we have to make another way of enumeration, like this: Chakku Vijnana 2, Sota Vijnana 2, Gana Vijnana 2, Jingwa Vijnana 2, Kaya Vijnana also 2, although they are different in the feeling. So we say that the Kaya Vijnana same, so Kaya Vijnana 2. So in this way, you can count eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness. All these have the 2 types. So if we collectively call them, how can we call? Yeah, Dvip Pancha Vijnana. So Dvip is number 2, Pancha is 5. So 2 sets of 5-fold sense consciousness. So they are related to the sense door. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, and bodies are called the sense door. That's why we can call by the name of Dvipancha Vijnana, which is translated as 2 sets of 5-fold sense consciousness. So this is a very popular name. If we continue our Abhidhamma study, and then we will see the several enumeration Dvipancha Vijnana, other than Chakku Vijnana 2, Sota Vijnana 2, because it's very long. So to express in short way, we use Dvipancha Vijnana 10. So when we use the word Dvipanja Vijnana 10, you need to know what are they. So among the Dvipanja Vijnana 10, how many consciousness are accompanied by equanimity? How many?
8.
8.
Yes. Yeah, 8 consciousness are accompanied by equanimity, and the other 2 are accompanied by which?
Pain.
Pain and
Pleasure.
pleasure. So pain 1, pleasure 1. So in this way, we have to remember this information, and so that easy to identify when we study when we continue further study. Okay, so if you remember and the study, you think study or easy, and you will be happy in study. If you cannot remember, you think, oh, very complicated, and you will not be happy, right? To make you happy in study, and you need to remember in some parts. And okay, so the other 2, because they 2 come in the same name of the receiving consciousness, Sampadichana, so we can say that Sampadichana consciousness, receiving consciousness 2. And for the Santirana, investigating consciousness, is come in the number 3. So 1 in Akusala Vipaka and 2 in the Kusala Vipaka. So we say the investigating consciousness 3. So if we count in this way, rootless consciousness becomes 3 groups. Dvipanja Vijnana 10 is 1 group. Sampadichana 2 is the other group, and Santirana 3 is another group. Yeah. So these are very useful, because if you read the Abhidhamma Sangha later, they are used the Santirana only. So 3 counted the 3. So if you cannot keep this information, what are 3? And you need to go and check again. Okay, so me ask the question. So how many types of feeling you can find in 2 groups of rootless consciousness?
4 types of feeling.
3.
Okay, what are these 4 types?
Upekkha, dukkha, sukha, somanasa.
Right, yeah, upekkha and equanimity, dukkha, pain, sukha, pleasure, and somanasa, joy.
Joy.
So if we classify according to the feeling, how many in 2 groups, how many consciousness are accompanied by equanimity?
12. 12.
12 are accompanied by equanimity. Okay, 1 accompanied by pain, 1 accompanied by pleasure, and the other one accompanied by somanasa. So in this way, you can classify. But you know, this rootless consciousness is the most complicated one among the classification of consciousness. If you can study this one, and then you can finish all the consciousness group, become very easy. So even this one, if we study in this way, not that difficult. Okay, so keeping this information, we will move on the another slide here. The remaining 3 functional consciousness, rootless functional consciousness. So the first one, upekkha sahagata, okay, associated mental factors of feeling is equanimity. And what is mean? Pancha dwara vajana. So pancha is 5. Dwara is door. So 5 things door. Avajana. Avajana is adverting. So advertisement, like this, making advertising. And because when the new object come to appear in the mind, this consciousness, these types of consciousness arise fast in the process. That's why this is regarded as this introduced or this adverting object. So through the 5 things door, it is called the Panchalala Vajana. Sometimes through the mind door, or the object appear at the time, the consciousness is called the mind door adverting consciousness. So here also we can say there are 2 types of adverting consciousness. The former one come through the 5 things door, and second one come through the mind door, but they share the function of advertising or adverting. That's why we can say that truth adverting consciousness, awajana 2 here. The last one of the rootless consciousness, Hasitupada. Hasitupada, if we divide it into two parts, Hasita and Upada. So Hasita is smiling. Upada is caused to arise. That's why it is produced. So smile producing consciousness. When that consciousness arises, the smile comes. The smile is the physical appearance, right? The change of the physical, the appearance. That's why when we check what is produced, what is the cause to produce that appearance of smiling, so we can find the Hasitupada, these types of consciousness, the smile producing consciousness. And so smile, with the smiling, this come the joint, so somanasa, not upeka, or by the upeka, not smiling, and the somanasa, the joyful feeling, this person smile. That's why somanasa sahagata hasitupada. So if we count by the name in Pali, upeka sahagata panchadwara vajana consciousness, and upeka sahagata manodara vajana consciousness, and somanasa sahagata hasitupada consciousness. So in this way, shortly classification, awajana or adverting consciousness 2 and hasitupada 1 become the three functional consciousness. Okay, so before we talk about, let's review about the feathers of feeling. Let's count. So altogether, how many upeka sahagata consciousness among the 18?
14.
Yes, 14. Yeah, in former 2 group, we can find 12 upeka sahagata. In the last group of functional, we get the 2 more. That's why 14. So how many sukha sahagata?
1.
1. How many dukkha sahagata?
1.
How many somanasa sahagata?
2.
2. Yes. Can you identify the somanasa sahagata 2 among the rootless consciousness?
Somnasa sahagata sandirana and somnasa sahagata hasitupa.
Hasitupada. Okay. So now we can get the classification according to the accompanying feeling. 14, 1, 1, 2. If you already classify in this way, not complicated, not that complicated. Otherwise, many things come to confusion. Okay, so after that, let's classify again by their function. Find the function, because here you see the accompaniment of Veda Upeka for the unconsciousness, and second, the other group also have the accompaniment of Veda Upeka, so Upeka Sagata unconsciousness, and here Upeka Sagata ear consciousness. What is the difference? Is the function. So in the Ahetuka Citta, the reason why we can identify is different function. In Akusala Citta, the classification system come with the feeling, after the association, after the prompting, like this, to become the 12. And for the rootless consciousness, Ahetuka Citta, the differentiation come through the function they perform when they arise. So when the consciousness arises, they perform the specific function. So there are 14 functions mentioned in the chapter 3 of Abhidhamma Lecture, Kicca Sangha. we will see complete, all complete 14 function there, but we will introduce here some function. So when the unconsciousness arises, what kind of function is made by that one, the consciousness, performed by that consciousness?
Seeing.
Yes, of course, seeing. Through the unconsciousness, you can see. With the unconsciousness, you can see because it performs the function of seeing. Otherwise, you cannot see. Can you hear by the unconsciousness?
No.
Yes, because it does not perform the hearing function. Like this, so specific consciousness have the specific function. So unconsciousness perform the seeing, the function of seeing. Ear consciousness perform the function of hearing. Nose consciousness, function of smelling. Tongue consciousness, function of tasting. Body consciousness, function of knowing the touch. How to say the touching, through the touching. So these are the functions they perform. According to the function, they are classified. Then now you get the 5 functions already. If you remember, and the chapter 3 will be very easy. Very easy. So if we say how many consciousness can perform the seeing function?
2.
2 like this. So you can remember the consciousness also according to their function. Then how many consciousness can perform the receiving function? Here, the receiving function.
3. Receiving is 2.
2, and for the investigation function, 3.
3.
Yes. So these groups are divided according to the function. Now you see that according to function, we get the 7 group. 7 group. Because the hear and seeing and hearing different. So 7 group in this slide. And for the another group, so here, this one, our channel also a kind of function. So advertent, the function of advertence done by 2 consciousness. So H. Then for Hasitopada, so there's no Hasitopada function. So there has a function of the Javana. So at the moment of Javana, it arises, and when this arises, the function of Javana is performed. So now we understand the rootless consciousness are classified in different types according to function. When they perform, when they arise. Okay, so now before continue, let's read their name. It's also very useful and knowing their name. Even when we introduce each other, we call their name and trying to remember. So let's introduce the consciousness. Yeah, let's start from the 1, 2, 3 up to the 15, and by their specific name. So at the end, we will say the Akusala Vipaka for the former group and the Kusala Vipaka in the second group. So let's read together. Vipaka Sahagata Yaku Viññāṇa Akusala Vipaka consciousness. Upekha Sahagata Sota Viññāṇa Akusala Vipaka consciousness. Upekha Sahagata Kāna Viññāṇa Akusala Vipaka consciousness. Upekha Sahagata Jiva Viññāṇa Akusala Vipaka consciousness. Dukkha Sahagata Kaya Viññāṇa Akusala Vipaka consciousness. Upekha Sahagata Sambhitichana Akusala Vipaka consciousness. Upekha Sahagata Sandirana Akusala Vipaka consciousness. Okay. Upekha Sahagata Jakku Viññāṇa Akusala Vipaka consciousness. Upekha Sahagata Sota Viññāṇa Vipaka consciousness. Upekha Sahagata Kāna Viññāṇa Kusala Vipaka consciousness. Upekha Sahagata Jiva Viññāṇa Kusala Vipaka consciousness. Dukkha Sahagata Kaya Viññāṇa Kusala Vipaka consciousness. Upeka Sahagata Salavipaka
consciousness. So Manasa Sahagata
Salavipaka
Kusalavipaka consciousness.
Upeka Sahagata Sandivana
Kusalavipaka
consciousness.
Then here Upeka Sahagata Pancha Dwara
Vachana
Kriya consciousness. Ahetuka Kriya consciousness. Upeka Sahagata Mano Dwara Vachana Ahetuka
Kriya consciousness.
Somanasa Sahagata Hasi Upada Ahetuka Kriya
Consciousness.
Okay, very good. Now you already know all 18 consciousness, which is the most complicated in the enumeration of the 89 consciousness. So okay, let's talk about the function, how they perform. I have introduced about the function and already introduced the types of the consciousness. Okay, let me introduce the mental process. This is called the Citta Viti. When the consciousness arises, so the mental factor accompany. This mental factors and consciousness, we can say the group of mentalities is named by the consciousness, the name of consciousness. So they arise in very fast speed in the process. So in one blink, in the duration of one blink, there can be the mind movement of the more than the 100,000 and say that millions of like this. So here, this is one mind movement. How fast? Even you cannot imagine, right? This, how fast, this, how short this moment. But still, we can identify their nature. So every mind movement have three phases: beginning, before the beginning, and the last moment. So appearance, disappearance. Before appearance and disappearance, between that is called the static phase. In Pali, the first one, Upada. And the last one is called Banga. Between the Upada and Banga is regarded as the Titi. So Upada, Titi, Banga, Upada, Titi, Banga. But in this way, they appear and disappear in their process. This becomes the continuation of the mentalities. So what we are thinking, my mind is like this, but actually this is composed of the factors of each mind moment. When they arise and disappear in the very high speed, it seems becomes the process, and also it seems existing, like a river is flowing. So when the former water go downstream, another water take its place. That's why we think the water in the river. So in the same way, we are thinking that mind is in my process, but actually existing appearance, but how it happen is arising and disappear moment by moment. So we call this is the bigger moment. Be like this. So we see this, but it also have the three phases. Every mind moment have the three phases. So this is small moment. So in this way, through the five doors, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, taking the object of visible form, something to see, and sound to hear, smell to get the smell, and the taste, after that, the tangible object, something to know through touch. These are the object, 5 objects come through the 5 sense law. Then 5 types of consciousness arise. Eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness. So without the object, can you see, without the object, the consciousness can arise or not?
No.
No, yeah. If there's nothing to see, you cannot see. If there's nothing to hear, you cannot hear. It means that seeing, the consciousness, unconsciousness cannot arise without the object, specific object in this way. So through 5 sense law, when the objects are introduced, then the consciousness arises. These are called the 5 processes through the 5 sense law. So when here in this case, E representing the eye consciousness. So only this case will change. So sometimes when you see is eye consciousness, when you hear ear consciousness like this. So 5 types will change in this moment. The other moment will be the same types. So sometimes here the Javana moment, if you have the Yoniso Manasikara while refreshing, it becomes the Kusala Javana. If you have the Ayoniso Manasikara, it changes to the Akusala Javana. Or the Araha is functional Javana. So later on you will understand why the Javana arises in this way. But here we will say that here the PP Bhavanga. We call the Bhavanga. The Bhavanga is the common one. If there's no the other active consciousness, the Bhavanga take place. So that's why Bhavanga, before the process and at the end of the process, all occupied by the Bhavanga moment. So the basic consciousness we can say. Then here B, V, A also kind of Bhavanga, but this means already introduced by the object. So when the object was introduced, the Bhavanga moments are changed to another name, but still they are Bhavanga. It means the past Bhavanga and vibrational Bhavanga, arrest Bhavanga. This doesn't matter. No, later you will understand. Just want to emphasize how they arise for the rootless consciousness only. This Bhavanga, you put aside. Okay, here starting from the F. So this F is 5-door advertent consciousness. So F refers to 5-door advertent consciousness because this is the mental process come through the 5 doors. That's why the advertent consciousness should be by the name of 5-door advertent consciousness. Okay, here in the mind door process, after Bhavanga, M come. This is mind door advertent consciousness. Because F and M share the same function of advertent, but the 5-door and mind door just make the difference. Okay. Then now you know the amandic functional and rootless functional consciousness, how the 2 types of consciousness arise in the process. When the object appear in the mind, appear through the 5 sense law, the 5-door advertent consciousness arise to lead the process. Then when the object come through the mind door advertent consciousness arise to lead the process. Okay, after that, after advertent, the unconsciousness see something to see. If ear has something to hear, the ear consciousness arise and hear this. And here as the receiving consciousness. So and I is investigating consciousness. So after receiving, investigate. And D is determining consciousness, Ottapana. So this Ottapana, there's no mention Ottapana consciousness in the rootless, but it is same as the mind door advertent consciousness. So you need to take this one. So D, same types of the mind or averting consciousness. But this mind or averting consciousness, when it arises in the five door, is perform the function of determining. It is called the Votapana.
Votapana.
After that, Javana follow, then registration. So, okay. There is one example explained in this case. When someone come to knock your door, that is, come and knock the door, it's similar to the object appear and knock the door of the 5 sense door like this. At the time, you go and the knocking is similar to the 5 door advertent, right? Then when you hear the knocking and then you go and see, check, is it like the arising of eye consciousness? You see, after seeing the visitor and then you see, then and you investigate who is the visitor and why he come, or like this is investigation. After that, you determine whether it is how to say what kind of person or like this. This example is given to make easy understanding about the process. That's two process, not exactly the same, right? Maybe with the visitor, you can do the other thing also. Sometimes you can close the door and not open also possible, but this is the nature. So we just take the action similar to this to make easy understanding. Okay, so this is the process, but to perform the consciousness specific function, nobody is managing, nobody is giving the comment. They perform their interest in nature, according to their nature, and they perform. Because they perform the function, they are named in this way. So we have to understand the mental process is arising in the person's way according to its own nature. And the Buddha, knowing these functions and these types of differentiation of these types, and the Buddha give the name like this and used in the Abhidhamma teaching. But sometimes the argument comes still. These names are not given in the directly given in the Abhidhamma text itself, and then later or something like this. So you don't need to worry about this time, and you just need to collect some information to understand Abhidhamma, and later you can read the Abhidhamma text itself, and then you can reach this conversation. Okay, so Javana moment and registration moment, they also arise and disappear after that. Then in the mind-or process, so this is the mind-or averting consciousness. So here, no eye consciousness, etc. All right, that's why by the mind-or process, can you see? It is possible to see by mind. No, yeah, seeing is through the 5 doors, iron doors especially. But by the mind, you think, oh, I see my mind. Actually, not seeing. It is you are knowing. Okay, so sometimes we the usage we make confusion. Okay, through the mind, or you just know, but you think, oh, this is like a seeing. Okay, this is the mind of process. Now we understand how they perform. Here, the investigating consciousness perform the function of investigating here, and also it can perform sometimes the function of registration also. So no problem. Let's continue. Keeping this information, how they arise, and then how they perform their specific function in the process. And this is just introduction. We will learn in detail about these different types of the mental process later. And here, just grouping. So in the 2 group, 15 rootless consciousness, and then we can divide it into 3 types, and also 3 rootless functional consciousness divided into 2 groups. Now we already know. Then if we count this according to the different types of feeling, also Sukha Sagata 1, Dukkha Sagata 1, Somnasa Sagata 2, and Upekkha Sagata 14. better to remember and review and several times. Okay, so this is how we can classify the rootless consciousness, and also how we can understand according to the function they perform, how they arise. Okay, I think it is enough information to study about the rootless consciousness. Okay, I'm going to stop here and then let's continue to the Q&A session.
Thank you so much, Bhante, for teaching us lecture on rootless consciousness, Ahetuka Citta. We will now end the live streaming and go into the question and answer session. And for those of you who are still watching us on YouTube, you are free to join us at the Zoom ID, and the password is Metta. Thank you for joining us today. May all beings be healthy, happy, and peaceful. May we realize Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu.